Gets I, James L. Seagrave, 7:15 a.m. and we have the lights on in a messy, laundry-filled basement, but it's fine. We're getting ready for vacation. Happy Thanksgiving early to everybody. So here we go. Week 1 of the playoffs in the books, and we're gonna cut straight to the chase here. We're going to start with the fantasy recaps. We don't have the music today, but I just want to take a look because we can finally. There's not 800 games to go over. So we're only going to go a few. The game of the week, according to MUSL, was 15-seeded Sewer Bombs, Craig Kissel, beating legendary Larry Weinberg by just 4 points, 60.31 to 56.86 as a 15-seed moves on. Congratulations to Craig Kissel. He was led, of course, behind Devon Achane. I don't know how to say his name, but nevertheless, he had 16.30 points. Justin Herbert had a good performance as well as DeAndre Hopkins and Craig Kissel's win. Now, this is interesting. The Providence Power, your Providence Power, put up a season high, 118.4 points against his boy, Manny Flores. Sorry to do it to you, Manny. 55.13. I had Lamar Jackson in. Well, I had Jaden Daniels in, had Lamar Jackson, and then I'm like, do I really want to put my season on the line of a rookie? So I put Lamar Jackson in. And then I thought about it. If I won, do I really want to put my season on the line in the next round on a rookie? So I put Jaden Daniels back in. It didn't matter. This is one of the best lineups of all time, folks. And this is not me. I'm not very good at this game. As you know, this is only my second playoff victory in the history of the league. So I'm pretty proud of myself. Put together one hell of a lineup. Although the Chiefs sucked against the Panthers, but still putting up 118.4. That is a very high score, my season high score. Then we got True Blue Wrecking Crew. Roger Brewer could not get enough and beat Chris Kissel. So we have double Kissels make it into the next round. Led behind Will Lutz, who I also started, 21 points. I mean, you just know some of these teams with lackluster offenses are not going to have great scoring. They're going to get to the red zone or going to get to the 30-yard line. Not going to put it up. Vegas, Denver, these teams, they're not super high-powered offenses. And they're also in a dome. This coffee is strong. No creamer. Patrick Mahomes actually did put up 20.38 points for True Blue Record, but it was not enough as Chris Kissel. Who's the other guy's name? Craig Kissel? I get him confused. Craig Kissel, Chris Kissel. Both Kissels are whistling into the next round. Then we have 2 girlies, 1 cup. This is very disappointing. The number 6 seed losing to legendary owner Brian David, who has a championship in an alternate universe that I seem to be living in. He puts up 90.36 points and defeats the highest seed that did not get a bye, conference champion Austin O'Neill. Unfortunately, did not get a win. So, Devon Achane, I should learn how to say his name, Trey McBride, Cameron Dicker, Houston Texans defense really took it to to who would they take? I don't know who they took it to. Who Texans play? No, not Dallas. Someone bad, obviously. But I mean, good job to Brian David. Maybe in this reality, you'll win a championship this year. And then here's another one. Shocking development here. What? They played the Commanders last week? Dallas. I thought Dallas played the Commanders. Dallas played the Commanders. I'm talking about last week. I got my stat girl who can't get things right back there. Who? Oh, the Titans. I think they actually lost. Scored a lot of points, though. Yeah, they did lose. And this is a big one here, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan Love story, Jordan's version. I will stop messing it up because she got bounced in the first round. Conference champion Bonnie Monahan, unfortunately, chop it off. It'll make you stunning and brave. Twilight Zone reality, folks, is relevant for another week. Now you got to remember, Pat Provost is a great owner. He's made it to the finals a couple of times, or at least to the Final Four a couple of times. And he was, formerly number 1 for multiple weeks this year. So no shame in losing to the 24th seeded, got in on points, chop it off and make you stunning brave. But he wasn't some slouch. He had a 7-4 record. Josh Jacobs really was the difference there compared to Brian Robinson's 1.7 points. That's what it took That is all it took for the Commanders to really not be great and cost Bonnie Monahan her year. We get down here. Swine flu puts the other point seed out of their misery, tripping on foes. Congratulations, though, to Jordan Tripp. He came over, took over a team that was abandoned. Was able to get in on points with 956 points. That is like, I think, fourth highest in the league, I believe. Well, second highest that wasn't already in the playoffs, put it that way. But Mike Kaminsky, you still $50 need to come your way. You paid with regular cash, so I need to know how to send you that. But he's a new owner, comes in, wins his first playoff victory. One of the conference winners actually does move on. Now you see me, now you don't. Ryan Frazier's season comes to an end at the hands of Joel Bills, the original number one. Dollar Bills, y'all. I have no soundboard on this new setup. I'll figure it out next year. But yeah, congratulations to Joel Bills, back with a vengeance. Put up 909 points during the regular year, I believe. Ryan Frazier, he had a good year. He's perennial playoff owner, but 8-3, losing to 7-4 here in the playoffs when it matters most. And if you look at these rosters, you can see, I mean, Russell Wilson, putting your season in the hands of Russell Wilson, I don't know. But D-Hop was a good pick, but unfortunately, they both used him. Christian McCaffrey, total letdown, too, for Joel, by the way. 65 points was enough to win in this situation. Not a lot of them, though. And speaking of low scores, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Josh Harris, welcome back to the playoffs. Unfortunately, you've seen yourself out now as the Apache Chiefs. They continue to win to restore hope to the motherland. They are up. They are 72.91 to 50.01. Cale Seagraves, meaning there are now 3 Seagraves in the round of 16, the Sweet 16, I should say it's called, I believe. So they call it. Another Will Lutz bomber, 21 points. A.J. Brown, 14.45 points. Justin Herbert, he did okay. They cancel each other out, though. So Cale Seagraves moves on. And then the Tallywhackers, they are like the Chiefs of this league. They just narrowly win, but they continue to win. And another conference champion here who moves on to the next round as Josh Crampton beats Rob Gork by a score of 83.18 to 78.23. I'm not sure why this wasn't the game of the week. I think the other game was 4 points, actually. So this is very close and it was actually much higher scoring. So 83 to 78. Crampton, good job to you. This was a big one. BVC, fresh off his new cell phone from the Verizon Wireless Zone, courtesy of some guy named Lloyd. Brad Van Camp wins his conference and then loses to the Moose Knuckles, who was a wild card lottery team. Keith Dowdy, I don't even have a seed put in here. I don't want to talk about a seed, but nevertheless, Keith Dowdy puts up 77.48 points, beating the BVC 61.63. Led behind Patrick Mahomes and David Montgomery. I mean, and Daniel Carlson too, I guess. See, that was a battle of field goals. I knew it would be. Vegas and Denver, both the kickers scored over 14 points. One scored 21. Moose Knuckles moves on to the Sweet 16. And then this is really disappointing. In a battle, I believe there was a conference matchup again. OJ Eldorado just put up 46.86 points in the muscle bracket. That is a bad day at the office, folks. Rashad White, Brian Robinson, another just total turd performance from him. Lad McConkey. I mean, I guess you're starting Lad McConkey. Your scores aren't going to be great. He actually put up 7.15, which is the third highest performance for OJ here. Not a great day at the office, but hey, it was a hell of a year. He made it in as a 14 seed. He ended up 8-3. Unfortunately, season is over, but not entirely, because don't forget the Muscle Playoff Challenge is coming. But Derek Gregory comes in 77.03 points, led by Jahmyr Gibbs, who I also started, by the way. And the Packers defense, I mean, that's a bold play, but I guess we knew Brock Purdy wasn't playing, which I didn't know, actually. 14 points, good job for you. And that is it. That is your muscle bracket. We're going to look at the suck bracket here now, because these guys are definitely not in the main bracket. The double G spot. You know, it's funny. If I had not changed the suck bracket payout to $50 and I'd left it at free entry, I guarantee you half of these people wouldn't have submitted lineups. But you know what? To me, it's worth it. To me, it's coming out of my personal funds, because I want to make sure. I mean, it's $25 basically, because $25 was going in there the other way. Oh, God. Courtney Ward sent me a message on Facebook. It's all over, folks. Yeah, 7:25. Courtney's messaging. It's probably a problem. Nevertheless, shout out to Courtney Ward. Don't get whatever. We love her. Double G spot, 98 points. Brady's ball, 70.54. Not a bad performance. Would it be half the teams in the muscle bracket? Corey Brewer's season's over. The double G spot moves on to the next round of the suck bracket, which is a big one. There's there's 73 teams in the suck bracket, so I'm not sure how many. It's a round of 32, I think. And then the battle of just pretty darn disappointing seasons here. Death by 1,000 punts puts an end to Benjamin Miller's horrendous season. Although he did squeak out, he ended up not being the worst team in the league. Congratulations on that. But according to this, they out-muscled us, Sag Nasty's notch above top notch, as Coach Benjamin Miller said. Yeah, they did. 88.29 to 71.69. They both started Lamar Jackson. That was, and they both started Nico Collins. So there's really, and they both started the Texans defense. This is almost the same exact lineup. But in the end, it was Devon Achane over Ramondre Stevenson, which was the big difference there. 16.3 to 2.67. That was not entirely the difference because they won by 17 points. But the other one was Cade Otton versus Travis Kelce, I guess. Cade Otton. Oh, Christian McCaffrey put up nothing, too, by the way. So that's crazy. Could have been worse for you, Ben. Nevertheless, Aaron Minturn moves on to the next round of the suck bracket. Hanging with Mr. Hernandez, Chris Melclory moves on to the next round after beating Golfing with Laporta, 60.28 to 48.8. Bob Ames' miserable season is over, but we'll see you back for the playoff challenge. Mahomes and Jacoby Myers, good run for you. Oh, hey, you're in trouble, Kyle Stoker. I'll hand it to you, man. Like, you're the defending champion. Hats off to you. I mean, it's not a lot of champions in this league. You know, you had a bad year, and you totally wussed out at the end by just getting randomized, which I was not a fan of. But nevertheless, you did submit a lineup this week because, I mean, probably the $50 motivated you. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, as Do You Even Swift Bro, Ben Hester, comes up and, beats you 72 to 60. I mean, good year. Not really for either of you, but you'll always have that championship despite how bad your year is. And you were the only former owner with bad year, okay, with a bad year. Because former champion with a bad year. Canton Hall of Famers had a horrible year. You're in Trouble had a horrible year. Your Mother Likes My Defense had a horrible year. I mean, these are all former champions, and some of them are in this first round of the suck bracket. Speaking of Millers or former Millers that had a miserable year, Nasty Nutria's season finally comes to an end. She said, and I quote, "This is where I turn it around." No, this is where Ketchup and Mostert turns around. I think he did win one game after getting married. I made a big deal about that. But Saquon Barkley had him in the chamber, and what a time to use him. 29.1 points as the New York Giants misery tour continues to get worse. Not only did they, and you know damn well, after they cut Saquon Barkley for some reason, he goes and just is an MVP. I think based on Vegas odds, he is third highest odds of getting MVP. There hasn't been a non-quarterback MVP since 2011. I don't remember who that was. I think Chris Johnson, maybe. Maybe that's a long time ago. But not only that, now you know damn well that they cut Daniel Jones. And he's going to go somewhere and probably win a Super Bowl, potentially as a backup, or he could go. It'd be hilarious. He went to Dallas and beat the Giants. One of the rumors he's going to Lions, but I don't know. He didn't want to be third string in New York. I don't know if he'd be third. I think he'd probably be second string in Detroit for now. But there we are. Your Mother Likes My Defense. Another former champion with a miserable year. Just here so I don't get fined. Paul Wallenwine puts in a lineup, wins 69.31 behind Bo Nix. People are saying he is moving up to be the odds-on favorite to win Rookie of the Year, which is crazy. Because Jaden Daniels, they say, is in a free fall, although he helped me win today, or this week. The Hernandez hitman, Antoine Bacon, puts up 80.858 and defeats Paul Brown behind Patrick Mahomes and the Miami Dolphins defense. Antoine Bacon, good job to you. And then, unfortunately, Jamie Phelps' season comes to an end at the hands of Scott Muckovitz, 83 to 71. And Andy Plum defeats Golden Kroger, who I hope you come back, my man. I know, I mean, I don't know if we'll see you at any of these events. I think on December 15th, we might actually be at the VIP tailgate because we'll actually have 3 people who are over 21 there. But yeah, it's good having you, my man. I hope you come back for another year, Golden, because I mean, he is just a random guy that we met at a Lions game, and he lives in Minnesota, so it's super cool that he's like, I'm gonna invite you. I was completely inebriated, but I'm like, I'm gonna send you the invite, and he accepted, and he's here. It's a great story. And how about them Lions, by the way? So there we go. That's that. We're gonna look at the bracket now as we look forward to next week. It's gonna be a minute. There we go. So in the main bracket, your commissioners, Providence Power, fresh off their 118-point performance, season high for them, and they were the season, and I was the season high for points. It's never happened, people. It's not like I'm some great owner at this. I'm not. But this year, just things fell my way. Will they continue to fall my way, though, as this week we head into the number 1 overall seed, FarmersOnly.com, the only former champion to really do much of anything this year. Well, no, that's not true because Louis Diana's football team. Forgot. He's changed his team so many times you just forget about him. FarmersOnly.com hosts the Providence Power. Chop it off. It'll make you stunning and brave. They go on to win or to face last week's winner, Swine Flu Conference champion Mike Kaminsky. We just talked about him. Joel Bills, 7-4. Dollar Bills, y'all, going to take on the aforementioned Louis Diana fantasy football team, the other owner who has done well this year. He is the most decorated muscle owner in the history of the league. Multiple Final Four appearances, 1 championship. He was in the Final Four last year. So that'll be a good game. Can Dollar Bills, y'all, bookend this season? Start off as number 1, finish number 1? We don't know. You have to tune in to find out. Then the people on a bye, the team on a bye, the rested Nam-Tam Knights, Michael Myers, hoping that the Apache Nation does not come through and wreak havoc on their land. But it could happen. The Apache Chiefs seem to always be in the Elite 8. So does Jordan's Story Love version. Whatever the fuck. They're not even alive anymore, and I still mess up the name. Kale Seagraves, Bonnie Monahan always seem to be at the end of the year, but Bonnie Monahan unfortunately got bounced in the first round of the playoffs this year, but still made it to the playoffs, won her conference. She's $50 richer. Are you? Nam-Tam Knight says yes. But the Sewer Bombs is not. Sewer Bombs, which is one of the Kissel brothers or father-son. I don't know what it is. One of these days you think I learned this. Craig Kissel goes on to face the number 2 seeded Golf and Balls, Chris Russell. That's a lot of sizzles. As Chris Kissel takes on Craig Russell. Chris Russell takes on, oh my God, Craig Kissel. I need more coffee, Cassandra. But preferably some with some whiteness in it. That sounds racist, but still. His coffee is too black for me. Nevertheless, it's true. There's no cream in this thing. Just sugar and straight blackness. I actually have 3 chest hairs now. Anyway, Josh Crampton, 10 seed, the worst of the conference champions, but still a conference champion. Going on to face Moose Knuckles, who got in via the lottery. Which, I mean, I think the other team got in via lottery one too, but you never know. They're the 26th seed. I'll have to edit that and make their team name the 26th seed. Taking on, Josh Crampton. Derek Gregory. I believe they're in your conference, Cassandra. Going on to face the number 3 seeded Malcolm Rodriguez in the middle of my thighs. In a conference rematch that I believe, let me see if I can pull up this stat here. I believe they are in the same conference, and I'm wrong. That's fun. I don't know why OJ Eldorado had to have been in your conference. Am I wrong? Wow, this looks really stupid. Okay, so apparently neither of them were in your conference. I don't know what the... Again, alternate reality, man. It's a real thing. And then the last game of the muscle bracket is to crush Chris Kissel taking on You Thielen Lucky Punk, Brian David. So both teams who got in on the wild card actually won, so that's pretty cool. That's why you never give up in this league, man. Don't get randomized twice because you'll be removed from the lottery. So it makes this league very unique. Of course, it is harder to get in when there are 100 teams as there are when there are 12, but this whole concept was based on our old IFSC rules. We go down to the suck bracket. Holy hell, there's a lot of games this week, but we're going to go over them. The double G spot going into play with Mike Ditka. These things are not seeded because there's too many of them. Vic in a box. Josh Griner going on to play, I believe, his boy Bobby Wood. Bobby Wood taking on Josh Griner. Aiken for a ship. Rob Aiken taking on Canton Hall of Famers Dong. Not their dong, but that's normally when I say the name, I play the Taco Bell dong or gong. What is it? No, it's a dong. There's lots of dongs here, folks. Damar Hamlin's booster shot taking on Garrity's Gigolos in a battle of ultra conservatives. Death, it's not chop it off though. Death by 1,000 punch. Erin Minturn going on to face off Stephanie Bradley in a battle of the ladies here. Nut Olove Your Face taking on the Black Hole. Rob Bradley taking on Cody Provost. Hang with Mr. Hernandez. Chris Melclory taking on Joe Buck Yourself, which is Jordan Craig. The Clockwork Elves taking on Password is Taco Dom Valenti. I feel like that's... No, you lost. You did. That's not who you lost. You lost to Scott Miller. Then he left the league. But Dom Valenti, another former champion who's having a shit year, finds himself in the suck bracket. Do You Even Swiftwell? Ben Huster goes on to face on the Donkey Punchers, Will Green. Mullen Incorporated, Paul Ward going on to face on My Balzac Herds, Don Knapp. Dustin Hanson, Steel City Sackers, 6-5, taking on Bleeding Blue Bombers, who are 4-7. That would be Pat Provost Sr. Football's Life is Tom Farmer taking on Super Original, which is Paul Smith. Alex Erickson takes on Mason Bradley, who is so good all year and ends up finding himself in the suck bracket, which is really sick. And Spay, here's a potential hype matchup. Cloacal Kiss, Maddie Bradley taking on everyone's favorite JavaScript reference. Freddy versus Jason. If Cloacal Kiss wins and Hittin' Rugs wins, we will have brother versus sister next week, which would be kind of exciting. Not so exciting, though. Rob Shaw's the Hitman taking on Craig Monahan's the $75 million man. Actually, that's kind of exciting, I think. Bracy Trudell taking on Michael Carl, whatever you want to call you. Fresh off his Verizon in-store visit yesterday. Still can't get a pixel deal he's looking for, but he might be able to get the victory he's looking for. But he's still, even in the suck bracket, he faces tough competition as Bracy Trudell, who actually ended up 6-5, which isn't that impressive, but he's he's pretty good owner. Will's Wranglers takes on Paul Wallenwine as Ryan Knight, who led his conference the majority of the year until Cassandra came up and clipped him. He now finds us in the suck bracket. Even his own friend Keith Dowdy's in the muscle bracket, and he got in with a random card, but he won, so he's still facing it. Cheechki, the other Harris kid, Nick Harris, taking on Jeskaholics, formerly Jerkaholics, formerly some other team. They got their team taken off. They were not supposed to be Jerkaholics ever, but nevertheless, Jeskaholics taking on Cheechki. Dawaiians, Gary King, the lovable Gary King, taking on the even more lovable Parker Dalton in a game of lovable fellas. Well, this is interesting. This will be good if you guys are actually paying attention to this. In a matchup of people who definitely know each other. John Gillette's Balls Deep taking on Amber Cole's Lakers. That'll be a good game. Submit a lineup, Amber. She only did it twice, but it feels like she never does. Antoine Bacon. She's not watching this. Antoine Bacon, Hernandez Hitman, taking on Vincent Villada's Villada. Nibble on my Gibbs, Cough on my Goff. John Zemer taking on James St. Germain's Patriot Thunder. We're almost done. Jeremy Orr's Kakamba's taking on Better Bring Your A Game. There's a couple of disappointing seasons there. Speaking of disappointing season, former champion Eric Minturn, who ended up 6-5, mid-range. I mean, not terrible, but didn't make the muscle bracket. Taking on Eric Huster. Scott Muckovitz taking on Chad Lige. I've heard his name was said by, I think, one of the Vaden camps. Young Bubba's players. Bubba Garrity taking on Greg Mungers coming from behind. Oh, they got a couple weeks to go because, man, do we have... No, they're not on the same side of the bracket. But Mrs. Garrity taking on Jason Taylor's Whispering Eyes. Squadrol, 6-5, taking on Mick DeBoe's Fly Eagles Fly. Andy Plum, fresh off his victory, taking on Stephen Gurgley, who is another disappointing, find himself in the suck bracket after he had such a great year. It was him and Mike Kaminsky, both owners, rookie owners, both competing for that conference. One wins the conference and then finds himself in the second round of the muscle bracket. One, unfortunately, makes the second round of the suck bracket by default because he's 7-4. Had to buy the first week. David Dalton taking on Cody Cole. And then Brian Benor taking on J-Mac, Justin McClinchy, who did not McClinch. He finds himself in this bracket. And then Rocky Keeling taking on Justin Redding. I believe they are. Yeah, that is the final game of the week. So there's that. There are your playoff bracket matchups. This is the round of 32, I'm sure. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Oh, no, it's actually the round of 64. It's the round of 64. That makes sense because there's 73 teams. Round of 6. This is where the NCAA tournament just begins. If you are a basketball fan, this is where it just starts. That bracket's just started, which is why I decided to do the $50 because it is actually way harder to win the suck bracket than it is to win the muscle bracket. Because for one, you have way more games because this thing starts off with 32 teams. I think 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 teams. Yeah, there's only 27 teams make the playoffs. Round 1 has 22 teams. Round 2 of the suck bracket has 64 teams. And you have to realize that some of these teams are in the suck bracket because they didn't win, which means they probably don't know how to split lineups, which means they probably have a shit ton of players left in the arsenal. So, suck bracket, totally worth $50 if you win it. So please put a lineup in, people. This is not just playing for free entry next year. This is Bidenomics. It's causing everybody to be broke this holiday season. You can win $50, folks. Sorry if I offended anybody. But that's what they say. It's what the media tells me. Actually, the media doesn't tell me that. The alternative media tells me this. Nevertheless, here we go. We're going to look at the super squares. Let's see if we can share this bad ride. Kyle, not even in this league, Keeter, wins again. I mean, he's won twice now. Funny enough, it's the same square, but different teams. Last time he won, it was with Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. Yes, that's correct. This week, it was most passing yards. Caleb Williams, who is in the worst scenario possible for himself in that horrible team with a defensive-minded coach. Nevertheless, he put up 340 yards, but my God, if you watched that end of that game, it's like, bro, they got the onside kick. They kicked a field goal to force overtime. They win the toss. They go down, they have momentum, and then Caleb Williams, when they're in field goal range, scrambles around for 10 seconds and takes like a 12-yard loss sack. I know he's a rookie. I know he's a little pompous, but bro, you have to get rid of that football. That was sucked. I was hoping so bad they'd beat the Vikings. Nevertheless, he put up 340 yards, and Tua put up 317. So Kyle Keeter wins again. That's it, folks. Hopefully, you have a great holiday. And, submit your lineups, people. 3 games on Thursday this week. So get them in early if you can. I don't even know what they are. I think they're the Bears, Lions, Cowboys, Giants. What a disaster that is. Anyone who ate turkey is probably going to vomit it up during that game. And then the Packers play somebody. Don't know who, but I hope they lose.